Hey, this is Daniel, and today in this video I'm going to show you how to create something that shows the user on a website that something is coming up, something is loading in before the data actually gets loaded in. So I'm working on this real-time bus tracker and train tracker app. I've used this example in a couple other videos previously on how I got this data into this web page. But so this is real live data. As you can see here, there's train times and bus times. But when I refresh this page, it's going to take just a minute, well, a few seconds to actually load this data in. Since I was already viewing this page, this data is already here, so caching comes into play. But if a user is coming here for the first time, it's going to see nothing. It's going to see really these titles here and then no data at all. See if you notice that there's like a little bit of just nothing, just white, and then these blue boxes come into play. That's basically over here in the code. This piece of code here in the trains section where it's fetching the data from this URL and then it's setting those train times that it's getting back into state. So in between time, we just get nothing. We get this white nothingness, and that's not really good, especially if a user is like on their mobile phone and their data is a little slower. They're just going to see a white screen and maybe leave because they think that it's broken or nothing's going to ever show. So what I'm planning on doing here is while we're fetching the data, to show the user maybe a different color of this box so it kind of the user understands that something's coming. So first thing that I'm going to do in order to like make styling easier, I'm going to basically take this function out that fetches the data, so we will consistently always have nothing. So here's this train times function. I call it in the use effect hook. I'm actually just going to comment out this whole use effect for the trains. So now if we flip over here, you'll see there will always be nothing. It's not fetching any data, so it'll just be this white. So I have a ternary operator down here where it basically just says if there's train data, then show all of this. If there's not, show loading. I'm not actually sure why it should say loading here. Interesting. Maybe the text is white. That would be kind of funny. Let's see what's going on here. I'm gonna put this down at the bottom so we can kind of see what's happening. So yeah, prediction, trains. We got the H1, and then we have nothing. Interesting. Maybe it thinks that there's trains. I bet if I do like trains and also train length, though I should do trains length. Yeah, see? Now it says loading. So that's kind of interesting. I already kind of had this set up in the sense of like I put a div here that if there's no train data, then it shows the word loading in this div that the class name is prediction. So this prediction is probably going to have some sort of styling which creates this blue. But I kind of want to change that. So like in this example here, I'm going to also add a class name like maybe loading. That'd probably be easy. So now nothing should change because there's no style associated with the class name loading. So let's open up our style sheet. Let's see where this is at. Probably under styles. Sure enough is. Great. And then we're going to find this predictions. So I'm just going to add under here also dot loading. We're going to do background color is, let's just do red just to see if this works. Nope, probably because this is also underneath underneath like a train class that already has like a background already set up. So let's take a look here. Actually, this is the issue where this is under predictions, but I actually need to go to prediction. Make sure that this is up and running. Gotta watch those plurals. Interesting. This is still not working. So we got main predictions, prediction. Oh, I think I need an and in front of here to be like the class name needs to be prediction and loading. Aha, sure enough. Now this red is actually pretty stark, so I don't want it to be red, but I just wanted to make sure I get it wrong. I think I have like a light gray already set up. Yeah, I sure do in my variables CSS SCSS file in here where all my colors are. So yeah, that looks a little better. So now you can tell that this white is going to be an issue. Can't really read it, but I don't really think, and I'm going to make the choice here that I don't really want any information to be displayed, any words. So I'm just going to leave this as like an empty div and see if I can take those out. Yeah, I sure can. Now, one issue we have here is, so now we have these boxes that they're a little hard to see, but that's okay. It kind of lets the user know that something's coming. But the height is going to be an issue. So once the real data loads in, then the height is going to like bounce around, especially on a mobile phone. That screen real estate is very important. So I actually want like 2 of these boxes or 3 of these boxes stacked on top of another, so then, and that they're going to mimic a similar height to these little buttons here. So all I need to do is like take a look at the height of one of these boxes. So it looks like 86 is the height. So I'm just going to, in our loading class, I'm going to just do minimum height is, what did I say, 86 pixels. Yeah, that seems too large. That probably is accounting for this little bit of margin that's happening. Let me see if I can take that away. It is not very interesting. We'll just bump this down here. Let's do like 40. It's a bit of a guesswork here, but in the end we can sum it up and make it a little bit more precise. So now what I'm going to do is, typically as we see here, like on the buses, there could be 3 of them, could be 4 of them. Mostly with trains, there's probably only going to be 2. So I'm just going to copy this once and paste it once. Oh, and this needs to be, all these red lines here means that a return, it means that it needs to have a parent element. So it says VS Code. One fun trick in VS Code here or in React that you can do is just like these empty things. So it has a parent. That'll fix that. Yeah. See, so now we have 2. Okay. So now, just to do a little test, I'm going to bring back fetching data by uncommenting this useEffect hook to where it will then run this function up here that will get the data, and just we can kind of do a little test. Okay, so that loaded pretty fast, so we might not be able to see too much. Yeah, we see our little gray boxes, and then the data gets loaded in, and then now we got train information. Now you see here there is 3 trains. I'm not too worried about that. I think 2 loading boxes is plenty. It won't disrupt the user too much. So now that I have that, what I need to do the same thing for the buses. So now that I set that up, I'm I'm going to basically do the same thing in my buses component. So if we remember that I almost had this set up already, I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to add this loading class. I'm going to duplicate this. It's going to yell at me because it needs a parent element. So I'm going to do this empty trick here. But then also I need to add for not only it to look for the buses data, but I also need the buses length to be anything other than nothing. That's basically what I'm doing here. So buses is state, and I'm storing the information that I get back from this URL here in the buses state. But if it's just an empty string, then it thinks that there's buses. So I need to do check for buses, but also check for the length of the buses to be greater than 0. Otherwise, it will just show blank like we did at the beginning of this video. So now that I've done the same thing for the buses, I should be able to reload this. And then, yeah, see a little flash of gray here. Let me see if I can open this in like incognito mode just to see if there's a difference. Yeah, a little bit of a difference. You see the gray boxes load first, so the user knows that something's going to be there, but obviously since it's gray, that just like looks kind of empty, but not as empty. It's just a white screen. And then all this data gets pulled into this app and then displays the trains and buses information. So, and then next what you could do is like some fancier things of like, see how this animation for when the train is due starts like pulsing. You could do a little something like that with your little gray boxes where it's kind of flashing. You may have seen that on other apps like Facebook or Instagram when it's like loading the information. It kind of starts doing this like weird like wave animation. You could get into some of that stuff to kind of just let the user know like, hey, we're working on it. This is a loading screen. Something will be here in hopefully a second or two. But I'll leave that for another video. So that's just how you have like this loading screen for when you're trying to collect data. So that's all for now.